Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alex Halsey. I am the health fitness specialist at the McLean location. Good morning. Hope you all doing well so far. So for today, we've got a core focus class for push, pull, and legs. All right. So we're still going to get a full body in. We're just going to be hitting the core indirectly to deliver our workout for today. So check the description. You'll see what moves we have coming up. You will need weights for these moves. You will need weights for today's class. Every single move is going to require additional weight. All right, so make sure you have that on hand. I would recommend something that's moderately heavy. Nothing too heavy, nothing really light. Just something moderately heavy would do the trick. And if you do have something heavy, you can kind of keep that around as well, just in case, because you might need to use that for one of our moves. I'll be using moderate weight for all three moves, but just in case you find yourself being on the stronger side, for our last move, the heavier weight will help you get a little bit more from that move. All right, so we're going to have our traditional 3 sequences. Each sequence is going to last for 6.5 minutes, and then we'll take a few seconds of transition time to get us to the next move. All right, so 3 sequences that are going to have 1 move per sequence, each sequence lasting 6.5 minutes. All right, so again, check description. Keep your weights handy. Again, something moderate. If you have something heavy, keep that around too. And we're gonna go ahead and get moving. All right. Cool. So I'm starting our timer. Keep us on track. Gonna get going with our warm up. So go ahead, come on down to the floor. Coming down in a high plank, or not a high plank. I'm sorry, all fours. And just gonna come in a cat-cow. Bring your head back, crown of your head back to your back. Tuck your chin to your sternum or your chest. Just be fluid with your movement, as fluid as you can. And from here, you're going to rock back and forth out of child's pose to a cobra. So just nice and easy coming back and forth right here. Squeeze the glutes when you are in the cobra and push your butt back towards your heels when you're in child's pose. We got one more. And after this last one, you're going to come up to a high plank. So come up to a high plank. You're going to push your butt back to your heels again. And then just push forward into the high plank. Back and forth right here. As smooth as you can get it again. You don't have to come all the way down like I am. If all you can get is right here, that's okay. We got 2 more. 1 and 2. From here, you're going to drop your knees, bring the right leg up. You're going to be in the right kneeling position. You're going to push your hips forward. Drop the hands on the inside. Elevate the back leg. Don't let this heel come up on the front leg. Rotate up toward the ceiling and push your elbow toward the floor. Two more reps. Last one. And from here, you're going to stand up. Push your chest down toward the floor. Keep this right leg straight. And then you're going to bring your left knee to the floor. Again, keep the chest down. Straighten up, straighten out this right leg. Looking for 6 reps. There's 2, 3, 4, 5. Last 1 and 6. All right, so you're switching sides now. Back down to the floor. Left leg is up. Push the hips forward. Bring the hands on the inside of this left leg and elevate the back leg. Rotate up. Push elbow down to the floor. Another 6 reps. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Bring it on up. Same thing, left side now. Straighten the left leg out. push the chest toward the floor. Drop the right knee. Keep the chest forward and elevate. Keep that left leg straight. 2, looking for 6 reps here as well. 3, 4, 5, last 1 and 6. All right, bring the feet forward. Go right into a few air squats. We're going for 10 reps. 1, 2, nice and smooth with it. 3, push your knees out. 4, as you come up. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. From here, coming right back down to your bottom. Turn your fingertips to the left and the right. Gonna roll your shoulders back and pull them down. Walk your feet slightly away from your body and elevate the hips. We got 10 reps here as well. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Coming back up to your feet, and we're gonna go ahead and get ready. So grab your moderate weight. We're gonna go ahead and get going with the first move, which is really a combination of 2 moves, all right? So let me pause this. Cool, all right, so I'll show you what we got. So for move sequence number 1, we have 2 moves into 1. We have a pullover and we have a straight arm raise. So straight arm raise, I can show this to you right here. You can do this kneeling, standing, however you want, doesn't matter. So straight arm raise, you're gonna have your weight down low right here. You're gonna roll your shoulders to a neutral position. You don't wanna start off with the shoulders rolled forward. We don't wanna be completely retracted either. Keep the shoulders in a neutral position. Keep the arms as straight as you can. It's okay to have a slight bend in them, but the straighter the better. They don't have to be locked out either, all right? So just have a slight bend in the elbow. Set the shoulders to neutral. You're gonna pull your weight straight overhead. These are the overhead raises right there. We're gonna pair that with a pullover. So it's like a superset. You do one right after the other. We've done pullovers plenty of times before. So it's the exact same thing, just in reverse. Slight bend in the elbow. You're gonna lean the weight, let it fall toward the floor, and bow your elbows or flare your elbows as the weight comes down, and pull the weight back up. They're the exact same motion, exact same movement, except one, we're pulling the weight up, the other, we're pushing the weight up. All right, so those are 2 moves, 6.5 minutes. Let's get it. We're just looking for 10 reps of each, and then alternate every 10 reps. All right, so here we go. 3, 2, 1, 6.5 minutes. Let's work. So again, you just need moderate weight for this. You don't need anything that's heavy. So I'm gonna start off with the pullovers. Again, slight bend in the elbows. You're gonna let the elbows flare to the sides as you pull the weight, as you let the weight come down, and then pull it up over your face. You want to let the upper back arch a little. That is perfectly okay. What we don't want is the low back to arch. We're hitting the core indirectly here. If you keep the legs straight, you'll feel it more in your core than if you have the legs bent. So although this is an indirect core class, this one has the least amount of core activation, but it's still there. You can straighten your legs out to increase how much core activation you have relative to bending your knees. Still just indirect, not too much, but just setting us up for the next move, which is going to give us the most core activation. All right, so again, you can do this second move, the straight arm overhead raise, kneeling or standing. So set the shoulder to a neutral position, Slightly bend the elbows, push the weight up or pull it over your head. We're looking to, again, you can arch the upper back a little bit. That's all right. But what you don't want to do is arch the low back. All right, so hopefully you guys can see that exaggeration. Keeping the core tight here as well. So we're also hitting the core indirectly in terms of stability. All right, there's 10. And of course, alternate, just like we said earlier. We have 4 minutes flat to go. We're just looking to, with this move, again, indirectly stimulate the core to keep us stable, to keep the torso in alignment. Not a lot of movement going on at all. It's not very dynamic. That's the second move or the second interval. These two are just trying to open up the thoracic spine. All right, so just keep on switching back and forth. If you have 2 dumbbells, you can use your 2 dumbbells. And again, if you straighten the legs out, you can feel that a little bit more on the core. I am not phoning in my workout today. I'm doing this for real. So forgive me for the reduced amount of commentary that I have. I'm really just trying to do this the right way, just like you guys are. So that way you know I'm joining in on the fun. So again, back to the straight arm raises. You really want to get this as far backwards as possible to really make sure you're engaging the back muscles that we're trying to engage. It'll also help you open up your thoracic spine here, which is what we're trying to do. We are actively pulling ourselves into thoracic extension with this move, whereas with the pullover, we're kind of being passively, not completely passively, but just less than this one. We are kind of being pushed into, because we're, again, it's the exact same move as the pullover. So the pullover, we're just on our back and gravity is pulling us into this position. With the pullover, we are pulling ourselves into this position. So as you do it more and more, hopefully you can kind of feel your muscles or your posture opening up more and more. So we've got just over 60 seconds remaining. Keep going. Again, keep the legs straightened out if you want a little bit more core activation. Make sure you flare those elbows on your way down. Whew. All right, and that is our our time for the first sequence. We're done there. So you're gonna grab your moderate weight for this second move. The second move is much more dynamic. We have a regular version and a full version. So it's called pendulum swings. We did this last week. So pendulum swings are a much more dynamic and involved move. All right, so I'll show it to you the full version. So you're literally coming up, swinging from side to side, just like this. To modify this, come down into a kneel. Got my right leg up, and you can swing up, swing back, swing up. All right, so it's more forward and backwards, kneeling, just like that. And you'll do both sides, or you can come up to your feet and do the full motion there. All right, so the way I like to coach this movement is if you're on your feet, it's almost like you're doing a heel-toe pivot. Military members, you'll see them do a right face all the time. That's kind of more or less of what we're doing, depending on your coordination. So that right foot, if I'm turning to my right foot is nice and planted. I'm pivoting on my toe on my left side. All right, so I'm turning to my right, pivot the left toe. Turn to my left, pivot the right toe. Keep that, the side you're turning to, keep that foot on that side planted. Just pivot the back leg, pivot the back leg, hips and pivot. It'll all come together. And of course, you have that modification, do the kneeling version if you don't feel comfortable doing the full pendulum swing on your feet. So again, you're pivoting the back leg and you're pivoting your hips. Let the weight actually act as a pendulum. We're using the momentum from the weight to swing us from side to side. All right. The heavier the weight is, the more momentum the swing is going to carry. So something moderate here is definitely a safe go, as opposed to something that's relatively heavy. Not that that's a bad choice. Go for it. As long as you feel like you have the strength to control it, you'll be okay. So I'm going to increase my weight here. And I'll go again. So again, you pivot the back leg. Turn to my left, turn the hips to your left, pivot the back leg. Turn to my right, turn the hips to the right, pivot the back leg. All right, so the shoulders come with it. Shoulders and hips, they come together. That'll get your whole torso to twist, and that back leg pivoting will give you some balance. Act like a kickstand. 4 minutes to go. So I only do about 25 seconds or so before I get tired. That's when I take a break. So not necessarily counting reps here. You're just going until you get a little fatigued, then stop. This takes a lot of energy to do, especially depending on how much weight you have. The more weight you have, the more energy it's going to take to do. And it should actually get your heart rate up. But the pivoting is, again, where we're getting that core work in, where we're getting the rotation. So this one adds a lot of movement. Again, the dynamic part, you're rotating the hips and the shoulders to kind of help target the muscles in the core that help you rotate. But we also have to control that pendulum, so there's a good coordination, or a good element of coordination and stability that's required as well. Don't forget, you do have that modification. Try out the modification if you feel like you're having too hard of a time doing this on your feet, or if maybe you feel like you aren't feeling it. Removing the feet will put all of that movement into the torso, so that way you should be able to feel the rotational component a lot easier. All right, so here we go again. Another thing, just make sure your shoulders are stable. You're holding your shoulders in a stable position. In other words, just gather some tension in the shoulders so that as you swing, your shoulder just isn't moving all over the place like that. We want to keep the shoulders stable throughout our movement. All right. Woo. So hopefully you're feeling the heart rate jump up a little bit when you do this move. I know I am. We got just over 60 seconds left, which is enough for one more round. After I catch my breath, again, not phoning in this workout. I'm doing a real thing, the whole thing with you guys today. I usually am, but just really want to make that clear today because this move is challenging to me. All right, so again, really make sure you're using the momentum to help you swing, to help you twist and turn. You'll have to stop that momentum and reverse direction, which is really where the stability of the core comes into play. Having to catch that momentum, stop all that energy, and reverse is really where the core functions, the highlight of the core function comes through in this movement. And of course, with that rotational component, it's hard not to see how the core is a major factor in this move. We got less than 10 seconds. I'll just get a few reps in here. All right, so we are done there. Last sequence, last move. So, hopefully you're catching your breath. We got about 30 more seconds before we start. So, that move was dynamic and included rotation. All right. This move, we are trying to prevent rotation. Have your heavier weight down to your side, like so. I have a kettlebell, so it's easier. Squat down, pick it up. That's it. 3, 2, 1. Let's work. So the goal here, like I said, the first move, or that second move, the one we just did, rotation, we were trying to move. This one, we're not. We're trying to resist the urge to rotate and tilt. That's why the weight's on one side. Squat down. I could easily lean, turn my hips, and come up, but that's not what we want to do here. You want to keep the hips and the shoulders stacked on top of each other and keep them square facing forward. So that's the difference between this move and the move we just did. We're trying to resist any movement, rotation, or tilting in this move here. So again, squatting down, pick up your weight, squat down. You can stand up if you want, just to have distinguishment, just to distinguish the two moves, or you can just continue to squat. So resting the weight on the floor completely and then picking it right back up. Okay, so easy to explain, but hopefully not so easy to do, and it all depends on how heavy your weight is here. All right, so again, anywhere from however many reps you need to do in order to feel slightly fatigued. You should feel a lot of tension or maybe not a lot, you should just feel tension in your right side, or the side that has no weight, when you pick up the weight. All right, so again, resist the shoulders turning to the left or to the right, resist rotating to the left or to the right, resist tilting to the left or to the right. Keep everything stacked and aligned, straightforward and vertical. All right, so drop your butt like you're doing a squat. This is not a deadlift, or this is not an RDL. Drop your butt, let your knees come forward, and lift your weight. You don't want to see this. You don't want to see this, just folding over and standing up. We want to squat. All right? In other words, bring your butt down, drop your butt down. Don't just fold over, bring your butt down. Stand up. At the bottom is where you have to gather this weight. That's a little bit harder because at the bottom is when form tends to get out of alignment in the squat. All right, so having to get the weight together at the bottom on one side is our uneven component of this move, and that's what makes it a little bit more challenging. You can really just think of this as a deadlift, a single side deadlift. And we're just trying to keep the shoulder from moving too far forward or too far backward. We're just trying to keep it neutral as we move through the movement, as we go through the movement. You gather some tension in your shoulders, gather your tension in your hips and your quads and your feet, and then pull up. All right, and of course, make sure you switch sides. Just keep on going till you feel that core begins to fatigue a little bit. We're trying to minimize movement, so don't go too far past the point where you feel that your core is going to start allowing you to move. So gather your tension, shoulders. I like to say pull your shoulders toward each other. So pull your shoulders toward each other, drop your butt, hold that tension, and push up. One side is doing most of the work, but we're just trying to distribute it as evenly as possible through both legs and keep our core straight. Keep the shoulders straight as best as you can. 2 minutes to go. Left leg is doing most of the work for the lower body. Right oblique is doing most of the work for the upper body. We want the chest and the hips to rise at the same time. Show you from the side. So again, not at RDL. We're not here. We aren't here. We want to drop the butt like we're doing a squat a little bit. Stand up. So chest and hips, they come up at the same time. So when I'm at the top, I'm not here, nor am I leaning back, but chest and hips at the top should be one on top of the other. So again, gather that tension, pull your shoulders in toward the body, in toward each other, coming this way. Pull those shoulders in. Get some tension in your glutes, thighs, feet, and then push. We've got less than 30 seconds remaining. Whew. You'll listen out for those 3 beeps. We are almost done. Once you hear those, we're good. All right. All done. Grab some water, catch your breath. We're going to stretch out, cool down in a second. Okay, so I know that wasn't too challenging today, wanted to make sure we had room to really just focus on that second move with the pendulum swings. That was today's highlight, all right? So I wanted the first and the third to be fairly simple compared to that. And of course, feel free to run it back, do a few of those moves on your own. But let's go ahead and stretch out, pull down. So I'm going to come to the butt, coming right to the quad. So grab the left ankle, pull it toward the left glute. And you can kind of twist to your right and lean back. You can squeeze the left glute a little bit. So I do, just in case you have not noticed, I like to focus on simple but foundational things, just to make sure you guys are able to kind of stay supple with your joint health and your mobility. Come up and switch. I was talking to one of the members yesterday at the fitness center, and we were just talking about how being great at the fundamentals is really what's going to allow you to kind of do anything and everything. Because anybody who's a professional or something to that extent, they find ways to implement in their training things that highlight the fundamentals and come up. They find things that allow them to improve or maintain their fundamentals in a novel way. You're going to bring the left leg over the right like so, hug it into your chest, but just finding novelty ways, not to say reinvent the wheel, but just relatively novel ways to remain challenged by different moves that highlight fundamentals. Things like core stability is one of them. So hopefully you guys were able to kind of feel your core, switch legs. Hopefully you guys were able to kind of feel your core engage with those moves, which aren't necessarily always used to target the core, but you still get good core activation with those moves, working on the fundamentals of stability and dynamic stability. That's the job of the core. So you don't always have to train the core directly, doing a bunch of crunches and sit-ups and things like that. But something as simple as an uneven load is good enough to train the core. And relax. Gonna turn over to your right. Come up to a kneeling position. Bring the right leg out in front of you. Gonna push the chest toward the right leg. Keep that right leg straight. And novel ways to train the core just means ways you don't normally train the core. Not other people, but you specifically. Come on up and switch sides. So I really hope your core has been activated. I really hope that your thoracic spine has been opened up as well. In other words, how far back you can stretch. And relax. I'm going to come back to child's pose, reach up nice and high with the hands here. All right, so come on up. And that is our class today. So again, hope you guys enjoyed that core focused push-pull legs format for today. Hope your back is opened up and I hope that your core has been stimulated. All right, so I'll catch you guys on the next class. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day and y'all take care. Holla.